Good evening to everybody. Oh, good evening to everybody. Okay, Maimer. We're learning Kisavayu Allah Odes from Tavshin Yud Gimel. We started it yesterday. We're continuing it today. Heint is Dienstig, yeah. The way it looks, I could do it in three. I do it in three classes, but it looks like I'm going to schlep it out into four because I want to and because I could. Shnei Chuvas Bedover, if you will. Yesterday we learned very, very little Maimer. But we did introduce the Maimer, right? Kitavayu al Aretz. There's a world that's in a constant rotze v'shev, constant hunger. V'shafsa. How is that hunger satisfied? Through the avoid of shei shonim tizras adecha v'shei shonim tizme kamecha, which is called Isarusa de latata, Isarusa de liela. Pardon me. An arousal from below, avoid of a person, which brings godliness into the world, and it causes the ultimate nachas ruach, the ultimate calm, the ultimate collectedness. This will be learned. And of course, this answers the second question of the Maimer, of why it says V'shavsa ha'aretz, doesn't say V'shavsa Ebed ha'adama, like the Rebbe asked. Because V'shavsa ha'aretz means the world, and Malchus of Atzilus, that's always hungry. Neheira tata, ka'ari tadir, v'neheira elav, v'lei shachesh, the Pasuk says that V'asad lavid is going to be V'shavsa ha'aretz. Now, made of Rabbi Sai, I read mamish a handful of lines of Maimer. So how did I manage to make the Maimer class last 45 minutes? And of course the answer is because we talked about the Maimer as a whole. The Maimer is about Parsa. And I went through the different kinds of tzimtzumim. There's a lavush of a goof, right? There's the lavush like tachshitim, like jewelry, which is magala. There's a lavush like a goof, which is the closest thing to perfect yuli. There's a lavush like clothing that fit, and the worst kind of garment is a lavush sak. A lavush sak is one of the mishalom paparsa. Yesterday I told you several different mishalom paparsa. One of them is the mashal of a lavush sak that I mentioned. Another one is the mashal of a mashal, and the third is a mashal of asias bilti misudarim. What's the chiddush of this maimer? The chiddush of this maimer is that the Rebbe is going to argue that even though parsa is the maximum tzimtzum, because parsa is the inyan of shini hamahus, but parsa is a mechaber. Parsa is a joiner. I want you to know, I looked out before in the Ayin Beis, and the Rebbe Rashab also uses the word mechaber. This is mamish. The Rebbe Choyre is saying the mind from the Rebbe Nishmas Eden. Punkt genau wo the chedushim, exactly what the Rebbe's chedushim are, I simply can't tell you. I didn't look at that maimer with enough attention to be able to say precisely what the Rebbe is adding. This is for sure. The Rebbe says everything that the Rebbe Rashab says much more concisely and much more crisply, and he covers a lot more territory. And he's certainly saying this nekuda, that parsa, which is the maximum tzimtzum, the tzimtzum that conceals maximally, is a mechaber. It doesn't just hide to create lower worlds and to create lights in a different realm, but it connects the lower to the higher. Or in the Lashon of Avodah, all shimush is through levushim, all service is through garments. You'll see this at the end of today's shiur. And the idea that shimush is through levushim is true of a kohen, is true of a kohen gadol. Nadav and Avihu died because they're muchaseh begadim. And these garments not only cover over, but they ultimately allow for the great revelation, the ascent from the lower level to the higher level, and ultimately the great revelation, which happens from the higher level to the lower level. It's a fascinating kvetch on the inyan of Parsois. That even though we normally think of Parsois as maximum tzimtzum, the Rebbe says Parsa is an inyan of chibur. That's the word, chibur. So the Maimah begins with a zayar that lasts from the bottom of page Kuf Mem Tes until the bottom of page Kuf Nun Aleph, and which is then explained till the top of page Kuf Nun Beis. And it's rather long. In other words, we're really explaining a simple thing, I'm explaining it 3 times. Now, why explain a simple thing 3 times? Because there's one philosophical idea, and this philosophical idea repeats itself in several different contexts. The philosophical idea is called Melech v'Koyin. The king is higher than everything. Melech goes on the Eibishter Kvayachal, and Koyin is the Mishamish. The Koyin is the servant of the Eibishter. So why are there 3 Melechs and 3 Koyins? Because there's 3 levels of Melech, where the Melech means Ak, or Malchus means Bina, or Malchus means Malchus of Atzilus, and each one of these 3 Malchus has a Koyin that's beneath him, that's a Mishamish. And the Rebbe is going to give us the whole Arichis. He's going to bring the Zayar. He's going to explain each one of these 3 Pshatim, one, and it's really L'chayde Poshet Oizgetayt. And I believe the Rebbe Rashab does the same thing, explaining 3 different levels of the Zayar brings 2. A higher Melech and a higher Koyin, a lower Melech and a lower Koyin. And the Mamish says that in the higher concept of Melech and Koyin, there's 2 levels for a total of 3. And the conclusion is going to be after the Halaricha is that a Koyin needs Levushim to be a Mishamish. That on the one hand, the Levushim are Mailam Master, and the other hand, the Levushim are medium for Aliyah and for Amshacha and even of Gili, which is what this Maimon is about. That even though Parsa is in need of maximum Tzimtzum, the Pnimius in Yana Parsa is that through it there can be a Chibur of the world with the Eibishter, and without the Parsa it would be impossible. In other words, the Chassaron is turned around and made into a Maila. And tonight we're going to learn just the Melech and Koyin shtickle. Tomorrow the plan is, and of course plans are made to be broken, we're going to learn the Hezber, the 3 Parshais, and I'm going to leave a whole class for Perek Hey, which is short. It's a tiny Perek, Lefiyerach, because I want to talk about the Avodah, and I want to see if we can flush out, we can sort of explore the Chiddush of the Rebbe that a Parsa could be a Gili. So, believe, without any further ado, we're on page Kuf Mem Tes. This is the same Maimah, by the way, that we learned last night. So the PDF is up on Facebook, and it's on my website. I already put up this class. All the classes till last night are up, except for one Tefillah class, I think. Most of my classes are up already. And last night's Maimah class, which was the beginning and the end of this Maimah, plus the whole Hezbet of different kinds of Levushim, is already online with the PDF that goes with this Maimah. So you can go there and find it and download it and follow inside. To answer the questions about Shemitah, we should first go into the Zohar, which is written in Parshas Yisrei. Parenthesis, the Kabbalah Sater, the Parsha Kabbalah Sater. So Rebbe finds an immediate link between Parshas HaShavua, which is B'chukaisai, and the Zohar, which is in Parshas Yisrei. Parshas B'chukaisai is the week before Matan Torah. As we know that Parshas B'chukaisai, the Gemara says, is always before Matan Torah, except that you have to have before Bamidbar and sometimes Nasei. So in Parshas B'chukaisai we have a Maimeh which quotes a Zohar from Parshas Yisrei, which is the first Matan Torah, or the biblical Matan Torah. Quote, Is Melech v'Koyin Mishamish T'chusei. There's a king, and underneath him there's a Koyin, who's a Mishamish, who's a servant. And again, you'll see later the diuk is that he wears clothes. And this concept of a king, and beneath him that there's a Mishamish, which is a Koyin, is true on a higher level and a lower level. Is Melech la'ela. There is a king on high, which is the secret of the Holy of Holies. And the Holy of Holies is either going to go on Ak, or it's going to go on Keses, or on Bina. Utchusei is Koyin, underneath him there's a Koyin, which is Rav of the Eir Kadmah, the secret of the supernal light, of the original light. They call Mishamish Kameh, and the Koyin serves the king. So Kedesh HaKadoshim is higher than Erded as a Kameh, and the king serves the Kedesh HaKadoshim, the Melech. V'da iyu Koyin, the Ikre Godel, this is the Koyin Godel, Misita the Yamin, which comes from Chesed. And then the Zeir continues, is Melech Atata, there's a lower concept of Melech, the iyu Kegavna Hahu Melech Ilad, that's parallel to the supernal king. Utchusei is Kain the Mishamish. He also has a Kain which serves underneath him, which is Raz the Mechal Kamraba, the secret of Malach Mechal, the secret of Malachim. Shemakir Nishmeseim, the Nishmes Tzadikim, Magab. He offers up the souls of Tzadikim on the altar. So Mechal is already El Mabriya, is a Bia, and he serves the Melech, Malchus Del Tata, which is Malchus of Atzilus, and he's Makriv Nishom Yisrael Gabei. Of course, this is a whole discussion in Hasidus, that after all of our avodah, we are still in Elam and Bria, and the Malach Mechol raises us up into Atzilus. And the Rebbe's Pasha is going to explain in Hishtalshalus what's the Melech and what's the Koyin. And of course, you'll see that the Koyin doesn't only serve the Melech, he serves to bring the Melech to the Am, and he also serves to bring the Am to the Melech. In other words, the Koyin serves the Melech, the priest, serves the Eibishter. in bringing what the Eibishter has to say to the world, and bringing what the world has to say to the Eibishter, and bringing what the Eibishter has to say to the world in response to what the world says to the Eibishter. The Masha Kosovis Malach Liela, when it says that there's a higher king, yes, but that base Pirush, there's two interpretations. So now you can have three. Two interpretations of Malach Liela, which is going to be in this next paragraph. And then you're going to have in the next paragraph Melach Latata for a total of 3 Melachs and 3 Kohen Gadol. Pirush of the first translation of Melach is Melach, Leila Bechinas Malchus Ak. Malchus of Ak is called Melach. It's the lowest level of Midas, of Elam, of Adam Kazmin. And in relationship to what's above, it's only Malchus. And in relationship to Allah, he's a king. Shahid, that Malchus of Ak is Machshava Agedum Shalamayla Misei Derishtasus. It's the original thought, which is above Seder Ishtalshalus. And of course, this is strange because normally we think of Machshava Ageduma, which is Lamayla Misei Derishtasus as being Alei Saratzen and Tzimtzum Arishin. Here, Malchus Datzilus is a klal for the world that are below. And of course, you're familiar with the words that Malchus of Ak is a klal for Elamis. And of course, above the Madrega Kal, there's the Madrega Pshitas, which is even higher than Klal Ve'ein Kan HaMokim Laharach Bazeh. Hainu Madrega Yesod Naidam Shabbat Malchus, the idea that Malchus the Ak is a Malach, a Melech, a king, which encompasses the whole world, of the highest Madregas of Malchus. She'ein, turn the page, Kuf Nun, She'en L'maylam, and nothing is above it. Umam Shechan the Zeir continues that the Malchus of Ak, which is the Malach Deli Eila, Iyu, it also the Kedesh HaKadoshim, it's the secret of the Holy of Holies, Yibechinas Kesed, which is the level of Kesed. Now, how does Kedesh HaKadoshim get to Kesed? It's a very simple mathematics. Kedesh is holy. Kedoshim is 2 more holy. So from the bottom up, it's Bina Chochma Kesed. And by the way, later he's going to say Faked. Kedesh HaKadoshim is from the top down. Kedesh is 1 holy, Kesed. And the Kedesh HaKadoshim is going to be Chochma and Bina. But in Kedesh HaKadoshim is used 2 ways. In the meantime, it's called going from lower to higher Kesed. You do it, this non Kedoshim and Chochma in a double. Kedoshim means Lashon Abba holy. This goes in Chochma and Bina. Kesed, which is above the 2 of them, is Kedesh HaKadoshim. So Melech goes on Kesed or Ak. It's the same thing with Klolos. The Kayin who Bechinas Chochma Datzil is underneath the Melech, which goes on. Malchus of Ak is a king, and this king is Chochma, a priest. I'm sorry, there's a high priest, which is Bechinas Chochma Datzil, is the level of Chochma Datzilus. Chochma Yaschos Kava Yamin, because the Rebbe said in the Zayah that the idea of Kayin is Kava Chesed, then it starts with Chochma Chachan Yamin. That's why the Kayin, the priest, is called a man of Chesed, because it begins with Chochma. With that, especially when it's explained in Kabbalah, the Kayin u Bechinas HaChesed Yarech, the Kayin is the Chesed of the Kanyas of Arech Amper. Shemislavit b'Chochma Datzilus, which is quote only, end quote. Mislav shechochma v'atzilus. Oz gam ha'chochma b'chinas chesed, then chochma also has the maas chesed, because it's coming from chesed of Arech. V'nikra Kayin Gadol. It's called the great Kayin because it comes from b'chinas Rav Chesed. Chochma by itself is because it's chesed, but because of the slapshus of chesed of Arech and chochma datzilus, and chochma becomes beprati is also in the union of chesed. And then the Zayah continues, Kayin mishamish chusei, the Kayin serves under him means the Kayin who mishamish. The Kayin is a servant. Like the Pasuk says, L'chayin li Deibishter created Kayin to be Deibishter servants, to serve before him. To be a servant in front of me, Kayin mishamish the Kayin, the priest, serves under the king. In other words, and the Chochma Datzilus, the level of Chochma Datzilus is the mishamish, is the servant, the Bechinas Malchus the Ak, the level of Malchus Ak, which is close in Yinakes. Says the Rebbe, when you're a lost man, and of course the way it worked, the Eibishter created the world. It's L'mayla L'mata. The Eibishter sent an earth from Malchus of Ak through the Parsa of Kesed to create the Elamis. Once the Eibishter sends the aid of Ak through the Parsa to create Elamis, and the avoid of Elamis, they come reconnected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And this is called Allah Asman, the Seder Ishtashus, the way the worlds are ascended to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Sharei Chochma, which is Ishtashus, Chochma at the beginning of Ishtashus, the Bechinas Malchus, that to begin to all the way to the Malchus of Ak. By the Allah, through ascending to Malchus of Ak, Nimshach when Bechinas Malchus Ak b'chol Seder Ishtashus, Malchus of Ak is Nimshach and all Seder Ishtashus. So the tight Shimush is that not just Malchus of Ak, not just Chochma Vatzilus takes from Malchus of Ak, but Chochma Datzilus gives to Malchus. It's called Halom. When you're a lost man, this idea of ascent from below to above, they say there is Ishtashus, Sharei Chochma, Reishis, Ha'Ishtashus, Chochma at the beginning of Ishtashus, and it raises other Bechinas Malchus of Ak. By the Allah, and after this Haliyah, not Nimshach Bechinas Malchus Ak b'chol Seder Ishtashus, is the second Hamshach of Malchus of Ak and Datzilus. The Hine Inyan Hashimushu, the purpose of being a servant And the idea of service is when you serve somebody, the presumption is they need you. And if you serve somebody because they need you, so then you're the servant. But after the servant serves his master by fulfilling the chasad that the master has, then the mishamish and the servant gets paid back. It comes from Malchus the Ak b'chol seder ishtashus and ishtashus dehine. In yin halazu, the idea of ascend into Malchus the Ak. Nimshech b'chinas Malchus the Ak b'chol seder ishtashus causes that after the halal there should be hamshacha from Malchus the Ak into whole seder ishtashus. Oh, I went backwards. Dehine. Inyan hashimush adiyah being a servant shamash hamash malachas saran shamish misham sheneis adiyah. Shimush is to satisfy the lacks of the one you're serving. However, the servant gains from it. For the pasuk is by Yitzchak Avinu, I say li matamim. Yitzchak is asking Yankov, Esav, and Yankov to make him tasty food for himself. And then in the end, it turns to be a bracha for them. By Yitzchak getting his delights, his delicacies. The servant satisfies the needs of the maker. The servant gains. So the pshat of Kayin Mishamish Tchusay means the Kayin serves the Eibishter. But by the Kayin serving the Eibishter, which is called the Srusa Latata, then the Kayin is also served, which is called the Srusa Deliyel. Gets. But though this pshat Kayin Mishamish Tchusay, the Kayin is underneath Malchus. Shu'inyan Allah Asman, they say there's Tashlos Liak. It's the ascent from the lower worlds to Ak. What did the Eibush anticipate the physical Jews in this world learning Torah and doing mitzvahs? It's Eibush anticipating the schals and Torah and mitzvahs. The nothing was created because b'minim happened before the world was made. Nevertheless, in the Eibush anticipates what's going to be and he creates the worlds. Then the Eibush is thought, the Eibush is imagining, he visualizes the pleasure. Which is going to be the son from serving him. 5 days in Asamila Chasad and Kviyachalamayl, it satisfies the Eibushter's need, so to speak, and that lost man. And through this is a Rusa de Latata Shul Mila Chasad, and act to satisfy the Eibushter's wishes. Nimshechas Hashpah Me'ak Latzil, so comes left mark into its hills. So you give and you get, basically. A Mishamish gives and gets. And in this case, the Koyin, which is Chochma Vatzilis, gave to Ak, and then Ak gives back. Now, why is it, or how is it that when Malchus of Vatzilis gives to Ak, and Chochma Vatzilis gives to Ak, Ak gives back? It's because of B'minim Lech B'nish V'seim Shal Tzadik. This is the idea that the Eibush anticipates the avoid of Yidden, and therefore he creates the worlds. So I suppose the B'min Nimlach B'nish V'seim Shal Tzadikim is before the Melech. And because of B'min Nimlach B'nish V'seim Shal Tzadikim, the Melech is Mashpiyah through Chochmah to the world. And then there's a Halo Asman from the bottom to the top. And we continue. Pirush Habei is the second taich. Is that Melech La'elu Sfiras Habina. Malchus goes on Bina. Like it does in the pasuk, it says in Siddur, Elokim Chayim Melech Elu. Elokim Chayim means a living God, and Melech Elu means the king of the world. And Elokim Chayim is Bina, and we therefore say that just like Elokim Chayim means Bina, so does Melech Elu. The Elam Ubechina Zamel, the world goes under Eir Ampin. Midas. Commissioner goes to the pasuk as Elam Chassid Yibara Hashem made the world for the sake of kindness. Midas. When Yeshiv is Mehabin is the 7 days of creation, and since the emotions come from Bina. Bina is if we call the king of the world. So the Mides would be, I guess, the Koyin, and Melech would be Bina. And the Rebbe continues, so the principle Kedesh HaKadosh. Why it's being called Kedesh HaKadoshim? For the same reason that Kesed was, but backwards. That first there's Kesed and Chochmah, that's Kadoshim, and then there's Bina, that's Kedesh HaKadosh. Why is Bina called the Holy of Holies? Because Shekeser v'chochma labashim ba, because in Bina Keser and Chochma, the Kedesh Chochma Bina, Kedesh Kadoshim is bechinas emek his galas bebina. Like it's known by the Diva Salas Atik bebina. Who in Shivis Mihabinyan, the 7 Midas of Atzilus, this is the Midas with which the Eibush created the world. And as much as the Midas come from Bina, Bina is the king, it's the source. And he says again, with the same principle, Bina is also called Kedesh HaKadoshim, but backwards. Why? Habinyan Nekras Kedesh HaKadoshim Mipnei, Shakeser v'chochma l'bashar, but Keser and Chochma is Kadoshim Lashon Rabim, Kadoshim is Chochma Bina, and Kedesh Kadoshim is Bechinas Atik HaMizgala Bebina. The third Kedesh goes in Atik, which goes into Bina. Kiyadu, as it is known, Shes Galas Atik Bebina, Atik is revealed in Bina. Hanushes Galas Ataina, David is revealed, pleasure is not in Chochma. Leisa Bechinas Akudu Bavadki, and Bebina Dafka, Leisa Bechinas Hamelch. V'chinikas Sfiras Habina, Kedesh HaKadoshim. Bina is called Sfiras, is called Kedesh HaKadoshim because Keser and Chochma and Bina are Kedesh HaKadoshim, are 3 Kedushas. Whereas the Rebbe says inside, Atik Yemin and Keser and Chochma, the Gimel Kedushas, which comes into Bina. The Kayin, and compared to this Melech, who's the Kayin Chesed of Atzilus, which is Mishamesh Techoyse, just serves underneath her, M'hainu Alos, Man Shalom Midas Asfiras Abina. First of all, there's where the Eibush creates the world, from Bina you create Midas. Second, with how there's an Aliyah from the Midas of Midas to Bina of Aidei Nimshach, and through this it comes down, Bechinas Bina Midas and Bina into the Midas. Aidei HaChesed, through Sfiras HaChesed, True Yemen, the Azlam Kula Yemen, which is the first of the 7 Midas. And all the Midas have Chesed in it. There's an aliyah from Midas to Bina, and later on Amshacham and Bina to the Midas. And then it comes down into Elam Abriya. So we have 2 Melechs and 2 Kain Gadol Dilayela. The first Melech is Ak, and the Kain Gadol is Keser or Chachma. Second Melech is Bina, and the Kain Gadol is the 6 Midas, which serves them. V'hine. Then you have Hashimush V'hine Omam Shechsham. But it doesn't say weiter. Is Melech Letata. There's also a king below. The Yukagavna, the Hu Melech Ilo, which is power to the king above. Just like there's a king in Ak, and there's a king in Bina Vatzila, there's also a king in the lower level. Utechusein underneath the lower king is Kayin the Meshamash also has a Koyin, which of course he explained in the Lashon Hazayir, Raza de Mechol Kanarab, it's the secret of Mechol the Kayin Gadol, Shemakim the Shamas Tzadikim, Gabam Mezbeach, offers up to the Shamas of Tzadikim on the Mezbeach. So he explains, Melech is Melech Latatu Bechinas Malchus Atzilus. The lower king is Malchus of Atzilus. Michol Umalech Mechol Kamerab Bechinas Debe Malech Mechol is Chesed Elam Abriya. Umak and the Shamas Tzadikim Gabban Mezbeach. He raises up the Shamas Mezbeach. He raises up into Atzilus through the laws. Man, this is the Raza from below Shalavid Sal Shamas, the work of the Neshamas. Shamalech Mechol Maila, the Malchol raises them up. Li Bechinas Malchus Atzilus to the level of Malchus of Atzilus. By days and through this, Nimshach Bechinas Malchus Biyad comes down from Malchus into Biyad. The Hine Kavod is Havas Biyad, the reason Eibush made the lower world by day Malchus Atzilus through the spheres of Malchus Atzilus. Who Bishvel with the side Neshamas for the sake of the Neshamas work, combined with the Eibush made the Neshamas the source of why he created the world. For the Chayna the Halos Man Shalabay the Tzadikim and the Tzadikim are Me'edek Vechalamayla the Bechinas HaMalchus to the level of Malchus, Nimshach Bechinas HaMalchus of Biyad comes from Tzilus into Bri. And this is the idea that Sfiras HaMalchus is Mahus Elam of Biyad, the Mahus of the, it's the substance of the lower world. So B'kitz and Nimratz, there's 3 Melechs, there's always a Koyin. Melech means the Eibishter. But Kvayach, the Eibishter stelts a Chayis and Ishtalchus, have a Melech in Ak, have a Melech in Bina, have a Melech in Malchus. And each one of them has a Kain Gadol, that's a Meshadas. And the Meshadas brings from the higher world to the lower world, it raises up from the lower world to the higher world. And ultimately, it's Mamshach a greater Gila Lakus into the lower worlds. Vihine. Okay, this was all an Arichas in explaining a Zoya. Vihine. Hashim is the Kayin, Misham is the Chusei, who are the Nalavush. We just explained that there's a melech and a kohen gadol. And the melech goes on the Eibishter, whether it's in Ak or it's in Atzilus or it's in Malchus. And the melech has a servant. Who's the servant? His priest, his kohen gadol. So the Rebbe says, who has the inyan halavushim, the whole concept of a priest, the whole concept of a kohen gadol is through garments. In other words, if there's going to be something that's going to be able to serve the Eibush, that's going to have to wear garments. Now, I'm going to stand up because I'm falling asleep, and you'll follow my class standing up. Here I am. That's not, the camera is going to look very funny, the angle is going to look funny, but I can't help it. I got to be awake, right? And I'm falling asleep. I've been falling asleep all class long, and I don't like it. So let's learn standing up. Okay? So he says, the Kayin, Mishamish Techuse, the idea that there's a king. And the king goes on the Eibishter Klayachol, the V'yashtelzachos and Seder Ishtalsos, in whatever levels. And underneath him there's a Kayin who serves him. Who al Yedei Inyan Halavush. It's because the Kayin Gadol has to wear levushim, garments, in order to be able to serve the king. Okay, just like physically in the Beis HaMikdash, the Kayin could not do that without the begadim. And this Maimon is going to emphasize that the big day kahuna were not just a detail. They were a basic part of the kahuna. V'harayah, if a Kohen Gadol failed with the big day kahuna, he could have been chayev misa, and so on. It was a very, very serious infraction not to wear the clothing. So the Torah says that the begadim, the Kohen Gadol, serve as shimush. And the Rebbe is going to say that shimush means how we connect the Eibishter to the world and the world to the Eibishter. You have to wear, the Kohen Gadol has to wear nice clothing, which correspond to the Kohen Gadol li'elo, to the Kohen Gadol on high, Kohen Gadol to the Kohen Gadol below. That's Lavushin, the Yikar li'elo, Lavushin, the Yikar latata, this precious clothing above, this precious clothing below. Behind her, this means in other words, you're calling Yonei Havei the Shayva Beis HaMikdash. Everything on the Beis HaMikdash Chaysa was accomplished. Ideally, Lavushin through garments, B'chala Keinim and all of the Keinim. So in order for a Kohen to serve the Melech, whether it's a Melech D'Li'ela, Melech Latata, the Kohen Gadol has to wear Begadim. Or B'frat B'Kohen Gadol, especially by a certain type of Kohen Gadol, Shai Meruba Begadim, that he was a Kohen Gadol because he had many clothing. In other words, didn't have the Urvatumim. Shai Meruba, this is the Mishnah in Mesachas Megillah, that there's no Mile except that he has Urvatumim. Shahaya Meruba Begadim was wearing many clothing, and he didn't have Urvatumim. So for sure, by him, the Levushim is most important, the Levushim define it. And Kach, the same is also true. Sharei, because Gab is man shemashal Kohen Gadol b'shaman hamishcha, even when the Kohen Gadol was wearing the shaman hamishcha, hutzach liyis meruba begadim, it's allowed to have special clothes, all of his clothes. By this means, Afa be the shaman hamishcha and gilim amal, even though the shaman hamishcha is a revelation from above, Beifin chelas rusadali eilan arousal from above, the lake came meruba begadim bavad, which is of course better than a Kohen Gadol who only has special clothing and doesn't have a shaman hamishcha. Shekala Seder Seder Levushim, because his entire Razaf Mavah was with the Levushim. So the Kohen Gadol who had Shemen HaMishcha, which the Rebbe interprets to mean that Hashem is empowering him to be Kohen Gadol. There's a Kohen Gadol who doesn't have Shemen HaMishcha. He just a Merubah Begadim. But even he, through the Levushim, has an extra aid. Every kind of Kohen Gadol has to wear special clothing. Both the Kohen Gadol, who's a Meshuach with Shemen HaMishcha, that in spite of his holiness needs Begadim, and certainly a Kohen Gadol that's Merubah with Shemen HaMishcha, who's not Merubah with Shemen HaMishcha, because there's no longer Shemen HaMishcha, it's only Merubah Begadim. The Begadim are very, very important. The point is that the clothing that the Kohen wears are not a secondary component of the Avodah in the Beis HaMikdash, they're very, very primary. And the Rebbe concludes, the same is true on high. Shin Hashimash or the Levushim. Dafka. Hashem is served through garments. That on the one hand, these garments are serving from the top down. They're a place of Hashem giving to us. On the other hand, the Shimush is us raising ourselves up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that Hashem should give us more. When you talk about human beings' clothes, what do we know? It's Ayadei Shemachas Allah that covers over the person. Vayidei Zumaz Gal Zalosa, it allows the person to reveal to his fellow. In different words, Shagil is lost with the hill of Shamayel. Nobody can reveal everything about himself to somebody else. It's not anything. It's not good. You reveal to somebody else a diminished part of yourself through garments. You never reveal to somebody else what you are by yourself. You reveal to somebody else through a garment which makes it secondary. So the clothing we wear present us. The clothing we wear present us. But the clothing we wear also hide. And the Rebbe says, the same is true on high, who are parsois. Parsois are screens between a level and a level, between a world and a world. Of course, this is in addition to tzimtzum and all the other things. So the parsois actually is a shimush. The garments not only allow the Eibush to be revealed to the lower worlds, but the garments allow the so to speak, the world to serve Hashem. So he says, Yodam dafka through the but actually it's a shimush is able to be service. And again, the first service is that Hashem creates the world, and the second service is the last line on page Kuf Nun Aleph, Hu Inyan Halos Manchla Tacht. It's an arousal from below, the one below Halos, Hamshachas Elyon, and bringing down a light from on high into the world. In other words, the parsa serves to create. The parsa serves; it's a medium to allow a lakus from the lower level to ascend to the higher level, and then of course it provides. After there's an ascent from a lower level to a higher level, it gives more brach. What does this mean? They join together the higher one and the lower one. On the whole levels, there's two parsas. So bekitza nimritz, parsa is a kind of a lavush, it's kind of a tzimtzum. And normally you would think that when you talk about parsa, you should focus primarily on the idea that parsa hides, because parsa is a very dense lavush. Here the Rebbe says it goes both ways. Taka, it's true. Parsois block and hide, but they're mediums for relationship. Hein behinas in halaw. Both when a yid is trying to come closer to Hashem. They're trying to come closer to Hashem because he's one with Hashem, because an entity which is separate from Hashem. Ve'in binyan amshachas, what we bring, what the Eibusher brings into the world. Our connection to Hashem and Hashem's connection to us is through the past. The key mentioned is by, we already explained before, Sheklos, Shimish, the lost man, Begim, Madregas, already said in the beginning of the Maim. This Shimish of a lost man is through three levels. This is today's class in Perek Beis. Number one, Me'atzilas La'ak. Number two, Mizol Labin. Number three, Me'atzilas Atzilas. Me'biya Lebriya should be. Shein Tlas, this is that idea from English Beit Nahar themselves into Atzilas from Bina to Zoh in Atzilas, and from Malchus of Atzilas into Briya. Says the Rebbe, these are class, these are the three words which Eibusher possesses. In all three levels. Yes, and in a past you have to have a screen which hides and blocks. Hapasta should be Atzilus, there should be a Mal Atzilas Me'atzilas. Hapasta should be Mechan the Midas, and a Pasta Atzilas Ubya. All three levels need a parsa. But they are parsois nasin yinashimash, and these parsois don't only diminish the light which comes from a higher world and the lower world, that the world should be able to receive a diminished light, but also shimush that we should raise up through these parsois and bring a higher light of the Eibush into the world. Now, this is it. This is what we wanted to teach today. And then a kuda is that we always understand parsa as the symptom to create elemis. Here the Rebbe is saying parsa is the symptom to create elemis. It's the medium through which elements come connected to the Eibush. And we'll continue